Hi, I'm Mattia. I build website, CMS systems, and custom applications with Next.js and Payload CMS. In this video, I want to explain something that can be confusing if you're looking at Payload CMS for the first time. Payload CMS is free, but a real payload project can cost very different amounts depending on what you're trying to build. A small business website can be a few €1,000. A serious B2B website, migration, e-commerce system, or production-heavy platform can be much more. So in this video, I'll cover what actually affects the cost, why the price range can be so wide, and how to think about your own project before you ask for a quote. I also made a simple estimator on my website, so after watching this, you can answer a few questions and get realistic budget range for your situation. The first thing to understand is Payload CMS does not have a normal software licensing cost. You're not paying per page, you're not paying for API requests, you're not paying normal SaaS CMS subscription just to use the software. That part is simple. Payload CMS is open source and free to use. But it does not mean the project is free. Someone still has to design content model, build front-end, set up CMS, configure hosting, migrate content if needed, test everything, and make sure a website is usable after launch. So the real cost is not payload license. The real cost is the implementation work around it. This is why one payload project can cost €3,000 and another one can cost €80,000 or more. The same CMS can power both projects. The difference is not payload. The difference is scope. A small business website with few editable pages, simple design, no migration, and a basic hosting can stay lean. But a serious B2B website is different. If you need structured content, case studies, landing pages, resources, multilingual SEO, staging environment, backups, monitoring, integrations, or deployment into existing company infrastructure, this is a very different project. You're no longer just building pages. You are building part of a company's digital infrastructure. And that makes more planning, more development, more testing, and more responsibility. Design is a major cost factor. Design is one of the biggest things that changes the estimate. If you already have a finished Figma design and it includes desktop, mobile, component forms, responsive states, the implementation is easier to estimate. But if you only have inspiration, examples, or rough idea, then design still needs to happen. Someone has to turn that idea into real page layout, reusable components, model behavior, and a CMS structure that actually works. There is also a middle ground. Maybe you have a brand guidelines but no website design. Maybe you want to keep the current design and just rebuild the technical foundation. Maybe you have a Figma file but it needs cleanup. All of those situations affect time and cost. Migration is another big factor. Moving from existing CMS to Payload is not only about exporting data and importing somewhere else. A clean migration from a structured CMS can be fairly straightforward. But a WordPress site with a page builders, plugins, custom fields, shortcodes, old media, and URLs that need to be preserved is a different situation. You have to understand the old structure, map it into a new payload content model, move images in media, preserve SEO data, create redirects, and test the new website still works properly. The biggest migration risk is not moving the data. The risk is losing structure, rankings, URLs, or editor usability during the move. That is why migration can be a small part of a project, or it can become the main cost drivers. Hosting is another place where projects can look similar from the outside but look very different underneath. For a small website, simple hosting might be completely fine. You may only need a normal production setup, a database, media storage, and a basic deployment. But for a production-heavy B2B company, an expectation can be much higher. Then you might need separate development, staging, production environment. You might need continuous development, continuous integration pipelines, backup, monitoring, multiple replicas, share caching, across the replicas, a CDN integration, an integration into existing AWS, integration into existing Docker Swarm, Kubernetes, or internal infrastructure. This is not just where do we host it, that becomes architecture and operations. And this is one of the reasons larger companies pay more. They're not only paying for pages, they're paying for reliability, handover, maintainability, and production standards. Who builds the project also changes the cost. If your internal team builds it, the external cost may be lower, but the cost is still there. It is paid in developer time, learning curve, architecture decision, testing, and maintenance. A full service agency will usually cost more because you are paying for more than development. You are paying for strategy, design, copywriting, project management, Q&A, account management, and agency overhead. Sometimes this is exactly what company needs, but not every payload project needs that full structure. A senior small team can sit in the middle. You get experienced architecture implementation, but usually with less overhead and more direct communication than a large company. That is typically where I work, a principal-led payload with Next.js implementation, often with a specialist design partner when the project needs design and front-end delivery together. Because there are so many variables, I made a simple estimator on my website. It asks about your project type, business size, current CMS, design situation, migration needs, content volume, e-commerce, integrations, hosting, internal team, budget, and timeline. Then it gives you a realistic range and explain what is driving the estimate. It is not fixed quotes, but it should help you understand whether you are looking at a small website, a migration, a structured B2B rebuild, an e-commerce project, or a production-heavy platform. If you found this video on YouTube and you don't know me yet, you can find the estimate on website, buildwithmattia.com. The page is called Payload CMS Pricing. So the short version is this. Payload CMS is free, but a payload project costs money because real website need planning, design, content structure, migration, front-end development, hosting, testing, and maintenance. A simple website can stay affordable. A serious B2B or production-heavy system costs more because the expectations are higher. The best way to think about this is not what does payload cost? The better question is, what kind of system are we actually trying to build? This is what the estimator is meant to help with. Hope it helps.